Hi everyone, I'm Carolina Romaniuk, child and family sleep specialist, and I don't know what happened. I was talking before on Dream Feeds and just I don't know what went wrong. So I'm going to continue on with what we were talking about. So thanks everyone for joining back on. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to continue on with the video. Hey hubby. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is dream feeding, and it's kind of a really, how should I say this, interesting topic, so to to kind of start off with that there's several bullet points that I wanted to go through tonight. And if you have ever did dream feeding when your little one was little, or if you are doing it now. I know that one of the viewers was about to do a dream feed. So if you have ever had done the dream feedings, or you have been wanting to do them and you don't know how to do them, or anything else that kind of resonates with that topic, feel free to comment today, because we're going to be talking about what is a dream feed, who should try a dream feed, how do you do actual dream feeds, and when and how to wean from a dream feed. So there's 4 aspects that I wanted to go through tonight. And sorry, it's really important to know if your baby even needs a dream feed. What actually is it? We hear about them all the time, and when I had my little ones, I heard about that topic. Dream feed my baby, dream feed your child, so then they could sleep better at night. But it doesn't always work that way. So dream feeding, what is a dream feed, right? So it's usually considered to fill up a baby with either breast milk or formula to reduce night wakings, and to help you to know that they are not that hungry within a short time span, right? So when you do dream feeds, you usually do them for 4 months and younger. When they're older, it starts to kind of break into the patterns of their adult sleep, because what happens is when a child hits 4 months, they hit more adult-like sleep patterns, where their usual dream feed that would happen around, some people do it around 9, but usually it's around 10 or 11 that you would do a dream feed. Around that time for little ones, once they hit 4 months, their sleep is more adult-like, that they would have at that point more deep sleep, and it'll be for a longer period of time. So if you are interrupting that sleep with giving them a feed that's not needed during that small interval time, what happens is you're breaking up that deep sleep that they're having, so they're not going to have a full consolidated long time frame of sleep. So dream feeds don't always work, and I don't want you feeling as though your best friend told you, oh my god, I did a dream feed and now my little one is sleeping the whole night, and let's call it a day on that, and it's not working for you because you've tried it. So I don't want you to feel as though you're kind of beating yourself up about it if it's not working. If it is, beautiful, but you also want to make sure that you're doing it properly, and you're not doing it just to pray that your little one is going to be sleeping through the night. So ideally, like I mentioned, dream feeds do happen 4 months and younger. When they are occurring past that, you're going into the phases of breaking up the adult sleep that your little one does have. So why do we do dream feeds, right? Simple question. Now, it's mainly because there are like 2 main reasons for that. So the first one is because your baby's sleep schedule doesn't coincide with the parent's schedule. So what I'm saying at that part is, for an example, you put your baby to sleep, right? They have an early bedtime, but you want to watch a show, maybe hang out with your significant other, and then we usually go to sleep around 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So what we do is we'll waltz our way into the baby's room and give them a little feeding to kind of top them over, because we know that they're going to be waking up later on, probably within an hour or 2, if you don't give the feeding. And if you do give the feeding, you can hold them off, so then you can sleep a little bit longer. So it's usually one of the main reasons in why parents do dream feed, and that does help significantly for younger children. Now, the second part is it does take some of the guesswork out of whether if your baby is truly hungry at night or not. So what you would do is you would have their dinner time feed, and then you would do that dream feed, around 10 or 11. Like I said, some parents do it around 9. It depends on what time that their last meal was. And then that would hold them over until your next, probably having 2 more feeds, if not at least one you would have at night. Under 9 months of age, it's normal to still feed a child at night, but you want to have structured feeds. You don't want to be feeding them sporadically and just popping a bottle or a boob in their mouth every time that they wake up. And if they are having constant night wakings, you want to know why are they actually having night wakings, if it's not just for having these feeds. Like I mentioned, most of the time is that night wakings occur for a couple of reasons. One is they would occur if sleep is inadequate during the day, meaning if their naps are not proper or they're short, bedtime is too late or really, really early. That could play a factor in it too. But when it's early, you have to make sure that it's balancing out. So the reason why you would have a really early bedtime would be if naps were really sucky and you have depleted that sleep during the day, so you need to replenish it and make an early bedtime at night. So those are the 2 main factors in why night wakings can occur. Plus you have associations also. And what that means is if your little one needs a prop or assistance in order to help them go to sleep and they can't do it by themselves, so that could be a bottle, a breast, human touch, such as rocking or bed sharing. So those are a couple of those pieces on why do we actually dream feed. Now the other part that I wanted to talk about is who should try, I sound like an owl, who should try a dream feed? Hey Anna, so out of these couple of pieces that I mentioned right now, does anything resonate with anyone? Let me know in the comments below. Have you tried a dream feed? How did it go? Are you thinking about doing one? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments. And to kind of answer the questions on who should try the dream feed is 4 months and younger, like I was saying, is ideal. If you do it later than that, past four months of age, it becomes more, their sleep becomes more adult-like in patterns, which means that that time frame that you would be ideally feeding them for that dream feed is going to be their deep sleep. So you don't want that to happen. You kind of want to put them down at their proper times for sleep and not to break that consolidated part of sleep. So Lana is saying your little one just turned 10 months and still doing 1 dream feed. So Lana, you're not necessarily, that's not a dream feed. I believe what's going on, and tell me if I'm wrong, your little one does wake up and you give them a feed. That's not considered a dream feed. A dream feed technically is for newborns or children that are under 4 months of age, where they are actually still sleeping and they are in light stage of sleep. Once a child has deep sleep capabilities of adult-like sleep patterns, which happens after 4 months of age, that's not considered dream feed anymore. So what you're doing is your little one is still having an association in how they fall asleep. So when they do wake up, they just need that assurance in having milk or breast milk or formula in a bottle to help them fall asleep, or a breast, whichever way that you're helping your little one go to sleep. So what I would do on that part is figure out why she's waking up and why that feed is still needed. Because after 9 months, if there's not a medical need for a feed, a child should not be fed at night. They shouldn't, because it breaks up consolidated sleep for everybody, especially for your little one on that part. Stephanie asks, your baby will take a dream feed, but she will only take about half her normal amount. Should I still be doing this if it's not a full feed? Dream feeds are usually not full feeds. They are kind of nor here nor there. So it's like a top off. That's really what it is. So if she's not taking the full amount, and I wonder how old your little one is, Stephanie, but you can get rid of that feed if she's not taking that much, and just do a really nice long feed when she does wake up in the middle of the night. Because if you're giving all of these small increments of feedings, you're just like splitting up their sleep capabilities. Oh, she's 10 weeks. Yeah, so keep giving her, so she's really, really young. So I would do the dream feeds for her. If she was closer towards 4 months, I would tell you to kind of hold off on that and see how she would do without the dream feeds. But because she's so little, I would continue on doing that, monitor it, keep a diary for yourself and see how she reacts. If you feel as though the quantity is starting to diminish in the feeding, and significantly, then I would just drop it and I would make one really nice long feed. It's better to have nicer long feeds than small spurts of them, right? It's just easier that way for yourself, so you're not waking up constantly feeding your little one, and plus it's helping them too, so they're not digesting the entire time frame. They have like one nice meal, which will hold them over up until the next time that they have to feed again. So continuing on with our education piece today, we are going to now talk about how do you actually dream feed, right? And also, side note, this doesn't work. Dream feedings don't work if your child is already starving for sleep, if they're chronically overexhausted. Dream feeds will not work, because what will happen is they will fully arouse and then you won't be able to put them to sleep. So if your child is already exhausted and they are having night wakings, dream feedings by dictionary that's not what is occurring. It's more as an association and helping your little one go back to sleep. So how do we do a dream feed? And there's 2 ways that we can do that. It depends on how you're feeding nutritionally for your child, if you're breastfeeding or if you're bottle feeding with formula, or just in general bottle feeding. So, hey Diana! Now, if you're breastfeeding, there's a couple of pieces that you can do. Now, I know that there's different schools of thought on this, on you should burp your child, you should not burp your child. Just kind of use your own way in what you feel is needed at that point in time. My children, I burped. Some kids that I helped with sleep training regarding this, they didn't need to be burped. It just kind of came out themselves. So see how it will go for you. And I'll explain to you why I'm mentioning this in a minute. So with breastfeeding babies, swaddling them is beautiful, because all you have to do is just lift them up from the crib and then you hold them towards one breast. They feed and then you place them back down. You don't really need to burp them because they are still in sleep mode when you're dream feeding them, right? If they're under 4 months. Now, with bottle fed babies, you can actually feed them while they're in the crib. Maybe prop them up a little bit, just give them the bottle, and then you can hold them up, maybe rub their belly a little, and then you can put them back down. You just want to make sure that when they're in the crib and if you're feeding them, that they're propped up a little bit so they're not lying on a full flat surface. And again, if you need to, you can burp them. If not, it'll still kind of come out itself. So those are the 2 aspects on how do you dream feed. And now the last part, and remember what I kept saying to you, is dream feeding usually happens around 10 or 11, and that's when we as adults, we usually go to sleep. So right before we go to sleep, we do the dream feed to help us with elongating the time frame and when we're going to sleep, right? Now, last part is when and how to wean off of dream feeding. So some kids, it just happens by themselves. It happens naturally that they'll just kind of wean off of having a dream feed. And if they don't, there are a couple of ways that we can do this. I'm going to mention 2 for tonight. So the first one is around 7 or 8 months. Well, some kids can start like around 4. It depends on, or 5. It depends on your pediatrician when they give you the green light on starting solids. So once a child starts solids, they don't need to be fed, they don't need dream feedings, because they're having more consistency, they're feeling more satiated. And around that time frame, you'll start to notice that when you give them a hearty meal before bedtime, they won't wake up for a dream feeding. And if they do wake up for a dream feeding, that's more of a habitual reason in why they're waking up, that they can't put themselves back to sleep. And that usually has to deal with also the schedule. And the other aspect is to eliminate dream feeds is what you can do is move the feeding 15 minutes earlier every 3 days. So you move the feeding that you're doing earlier and earlier and earlier every 3 days by 15 minutes. And then what that's going to do is that's going to go into the first feeding when you initially have, so it's like dinner time, and it breaks up that cycle of not even needing a dream feed. But that's like the worst case scenario. Most cases you don't even need to do that. The children will kind of wean themselves off of dream feeding, and if they don't, then you can use one of those two aspects. Again, if you're still feeding your little one at night past 9 months of age, that's not considered a dream feed anymore. No. That's considered more of an association, a want. It's not a need anymore. They don't medically need it. They don't need it for health purposes unless they do need it for a medical reason, such as they're underweight and you need to kind of increase their caloric intake. But in most cases, for a healthy little one, they don't need any feedings after 9 months of age. So I hope that helped you guys tonight. Let me know in the comments if you have any type of questions, what you thought about this video. You know, if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Make sure you share it also. And let me hear what you guys have to say. So I know it's a little fast, but this topic is kind of relatively quick. So what's going on tonight with you guys? No one's talking? I don't know if we are frozen here or what's going on. Anyone have questions? Let's see what time it is. Cool, we're making good timing. So Diana says, if your last feeding is 7:30 and dream feed her at 10:30 p.m., but I see she's knocked out, so I don't know what to do. How old is your little one, Diana? Six months. Okay. So I would not wake her up. I would stop doing dream feeds. I won't do dream feeds. I don't know if you listened to the beginning of the video or if you got into it towards the end, but usually, hey Kim, usually dream feedings are best 4 months young or younger. At 4 months, adjusted time, they have more adult sleep-like patterns. So what that would mean is that if she is still sleeping, don't wake her up. So that's going to work more against you than for you. What I would do is I would give her her first feeding when she wakes up herself, naturally. That can happen after midnight, that can happen closer towards 2 or 3, but I wouldn't do these night feedings with her anymore because they'll just break up the patterns for her, especially if she's sleeping beautifully. You don't want to wake her up. You're saying that you only introduce solids now but not consistently. So I would introduce solids on a consistent basis. Do at least 1 meal a day, see how she's reacting to them. Obviously you want to keep the same food group for a couple of days, follow like a specific regime, make sure that she doesn't have any allergies. It's usually best to do the solid feedings probably like in the early morning before, so you can see if she has any type of reaction towards it. But she will get used to waking up during the midnight. So my question for you is then, does she have night wakings? Wow, this is so delayed. Diana, does she have night wakings? or you just feed her at that one time at 10:30 and she sleeps the rest of the night. Hi, Javi. Okay, so Diana is probably busy right now. Oh no. Okay. You say, if I feed her at 10:30, no, but never tried to feed her at 10:30, so I don't know. Guess I have to check. I have to check one night and not feed her at 10:30. Yes, exactly. Keep a diary for yourself. See if there's any pattern that starts to form. If you feed her, what happens? If you don't feed her, what happens? Don't make things too complicated. Don't overanalyze stuff. We like to make things a little more difficult than what they really are. Keep it nice and simple for yourself. So if you don't give her dream feeds, don't feed her. Simple as that. If you do give her a dream feed, I'd start to wean off of it and see what is going on, because she shouldn't need at this age a dream feed at all. She can still have night feeds, but I would do them scheduled. Lana says, let me open this up. What if the baby is 10 months and eating a good amount during the night feeding? His bedtime is usually around 7:38 p.m. and he eats about 8 ounces before bed. I do a night feeding around 2 a.m. Where he eats another 5 ounces. Does this mean he's eating because he's actually hungry and not just out of association? No, it means he's eating out of association. So past 9 months of age, kids eat out of association unless there's a medical need for it. So my question for you is, Lana, how is he eating during the day? Does he eat in spurts? Does he eat a lot during the day? There has to be some sort of an inconsistency with his feeding schedule, because if he's eating so much at night, he has to be making up for that from somewhere that he's not receiving enough. So he might be eating in spurts during the day, or if he is eating a lot during the day and he's eating a lot at night, that's also not good. So you need to make sure that it's balanced. Once you eliminate caloric intake at night, it rolls over into during the day and it maximizes the capacity for how much that they could be eating. And it's better that way, because you want his body to digest during the day and you want it to rest at night. So I would look into a schedule for yourself first in how you're going to wean him off of the feeds, because this is an association for you. Diana, you're saying you should do a video about a good schedule for solid feedings. So feedings, usually best time for them to occur is after sleeping. You can give top-offs, you can give like a little mini meal, like a snack or something before sleeping. I know that, in our culture, being Russian, it's usually said that a full belly is the best thing for a baby to sleep. But if you notice, a lot of children, they can't sleep on a full belly because they get gassy, it takes them forever to digest, and just lots of things start to kind of come up out of the woodwork when you're giving them a huge meal right before they have to go to sleep. So what you can do is, and I've done this with so many of my clients, is that we give like little meals right before, like 45 minutes or so before they go to sleep. And they have a huge meal once they wake up, because they had their full, beautiful, restorative sleep, and they are super, super hungry once they wake up from their nap, from a long, beautiful nap. So if you're noticing that when you are feeding your little one, that it's not helping when you're feeding them a huge meal right before they go to sleep, try and do the opposite way and give them a lighter meal, maybe like a snack or so, and then after they wake up, increase that feeding, and that should solve if you have any type of feeding issues on that part. So there's 2 ways, but always keep diaries for yourself. Like for the first year, it's very, very important for us to keep, like poop diaries, when they pee, how they eat, what they eat, how their reaction was, and their sleep. So we always have notebooks lying around everywhere. I remember that's how I was doing it with my kids. I had it on my phone. I had sheets all over the house. notepads everywhere, just keeping memos of what was going on. So I had patterns that I started to see that were forming, and I knew what to do with my little one regarding his feeding, his sleeping, and whatever else I needed to do on that part. So I highly suggest to invest in a little notebook or use your phone, your notepad, and just keep a diary for yourself. That way you can keep track of things, because there's only so much we can keep up here until it becomes like mashed potatoes. And it's easier if you can write it down, and then you could see it on paper how things are laying out for yourself. So I hope that answered your question, guys. Any more? I have my hot pink lipstick today. I wanted to match my flowers. Let me show you. Aren't they pretty? So no more questions, guys, on dream feeds. I guess I was nice and thorough tonight. If something does pop up and you do want to ask me a question, always feel free to comment, or you could private message me as well. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. Feel free to also comment, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow, Wednesday. I'm picking out the topics that we're going to be doing tomorrow, so we'll see what that's going to be. Okay, sweet dreams, everyone. Love you. Bye.